And then we had read a YA book. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with July's TBR. So it is time for the next month, July. We're here for the July TBR. I made that very dramatic. I don't really know why. But we're here for July's TBR. And I'm very hesitant because June was a month. I had a lot of grand plans. I didn't have a relatively hard TBR, but I hit a slump in the middle of the month and I haven't quite gotten out of it yet. So I'm hesitantly going into July and I'm going to do my TBR as normal, except for I'm going to state right now, which I've kind of done the last few months, is that I'm not going to pressure myself and we're not going to do any punishments in August. Like, so this game, my TBR, is one of my favorite videos to film, edit, put out there. I love it so much. But I legit thought at some point that I wasn't going to do the TBR game portion. I was just going to sit down and tell you some books I'd like to get to because I'm not feeling it right now and I was starting to get really stressed about what July was going to look like. But I decided to go ahead and do like a normal TBR basket round and just say that, like, if I finish everything, great, awesome. If not, I'm not going to stress about it in August. Plus, I've got a couple of video projects that I'm planning on doing in the month of July. Some kind of like TBR, special secret TBR themed vlogs like that. One of them being my next edition, if you will, of the BookTube Made Me series that I've been doing. So I'm really excited about those and that's going to be my focus. But beyond that, there's some other things I'd like to get to, but I'm not going to stress myself out about it. So with that being said, let's see how I did last month. So last month we had 10 books that we pulled. I think I had a couple of punishments from the month previously, but we started the month with a Philippa Gregory book, so that was The Taming of the Queen. Then we had Best Friend pick, which you saw Lauren come back to the channel and she picked When We Were Infinite by Kelly Lloyd Gilbert. And then I had to read a YA book, so I picked the second volume of Spy Family, and this is by Tatsia Endo. Then we had an author that you previously gave 5 stars to, and I picked The Beast, which is the 5th, I think, in the Wicked Villain series by Katie Robert, which I've been reading with my friend Taylor. And then we had the lowest rated on Goodreads, which was Poison by Sarah Pinborough. Then we had to complete a yearly reading goal, so I chose my middle grade book, and that was Rameza, a Fairy Tale by Radha Hafsa. And then we had the read a book in the same place the whole time, and then also for the same prompt, which was read a book over 450 pages. So I did Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Ratterson, and I read this at my desk the whole time. We then had to read a paperback, so I chose A Dance with the Fae Prince by Elise Kova. We had to read a romance, so I picked Surrender of a Siren by Tessa Dare. And we had to read a shorter book under 300 pages, and I had The Maid and the Queen, The Secret History of Joan of Arc by Nancy Goldstone. This was like 250 something, I think. So out of all of these books, I was really worried about getting into this list, and as I was planning this video, I actually looked at what I completed, and it was much better than I anticipated. So out of this list, there's one book I didn't get to, and there's one book that I'm currently reading. So I didn't actually get to When We Were Infinite, which was a pick from my best friend. So it's definitely on my TBR. I kind of started it. I mean, like, I listened to the first, 15, 20 minutes of the audiobook, but I just never picked it back up. It was during that time of the month where I kept starting things but not finishing anything. So it's definitely on my list, but I'm not going to count on it as being read or partially read because I barely did anything. So we'll take a punishment for that one. And then the other one is one that I'm currently reading, and that is The Beast by Katie Robert. My friend Taylor and I are buddy reading this, although I suck and she's already finished and I'm barely started. But this will be the first book that I finish in July, and I've read a good chunk of it, so we're not going to take a punishment for that because I'm still going to finish it. So with that being said, we have one punishment for the month, so we'll do 9 picks out of the TBR basket. So let's get into the first pick. Pick number 1. Whoa. Read a hardcover. So the first one is to read a hardcover, and so I've decided to continue with a series that I've been wanting to continue with for a long time and pick up Heart of the Raven Prince by Tessonja Odette. This is the second in her Entangled with Fae series. This is a companion series, so you don't have to read them in any order. They all are separate stories, so you don't even have to read all of them if you're interested in one over the other, but they are all set in the same world and they are all based on some sort of fairy tale. This one specifically is a Cinderella retelling. So this book follows Ember and Franco. Ember is a serving girl for her stepfamily, really hates it, wants freedom. And the guy, Franco, is that what his name was? He is a prince that is not ready for the crown, not ready to get married, and of course his family wants him to get married. So they strike up a bargain where she is glamored until midnight at the full moon, I think is what it is. Midnight at the full moon ball, and she is enchanted and glamored to look like a princess, and it's basically her way of getting freedom away from her family, and his way of pretending to have a princess that's already interested in him so that all the other people in the court will leave him alone. And then, of course, feelings will emerge. I loved the first one in the series, which was based on Beauty and the Beast. It was Curse of the Wolf Prince, I think, Wolf King, I can't remember. And the third one came out at the end of last year, and the fourth one is going to come out later this year. So I really need to get to this because I love the first one. I just keep collecting her books without actually reading them. So I have this on Audible. I'm very excited about it. These covers are stunning. The author creates them herself, and then of course Under the Dust Jacket as well is just beautiful. So I love the first one so much. These are fantastic new adult books, and I'm very excited to dive into this one. So I'm excited because fantasy romance is all I really needed to know. Pick number 2. There we go. All right. Ooh, read an ebook. The next one is to read an ebook, which is perfect because I have a buddy read with my friend Taylor, and we'll be doing The Captain's Captive by Christine Dorsey. This is one that she has, and I was able to find the ebook version of it, so we're going to read this over the course of the next month or so. There's no audiobook or anything of it, so I only have it on ebook, so we're gonna go with this one. I don't remember exactly what this is about. I did at one point. It's a historical romance. It's got those piratey vibes. We recently read Surrender of a Siren, which has got those piratey vibes as well, and we both loved it. And so she was really feeling it and asked if I would join her, and I said absolutely, because I love buddy reading with her. So historical romance, it's about a captain on a ship, and I think she's held prisoner for some reason, and I don't know why. I've forgotten completely. I suck at this. So I'll leave it down below as always if you'd like to check out what it's about. But historical romance, piratey vibes, I was sold. Pick number 3. Alright, read a book that will make you smile. So the next one is to read a book that will make you smile. So I'm going to use my middle grade book for this one. I might read other things. I've got some other middle grades on my plan. But for this one, I'm going to go with Camp Cacophony, and this is by Jessica Corey. And this is a very short Audible prequel to her Mistwick School of Music Craft. I read the first one in the series a couple of years ago, really enjoyed it. I've got the second one ready to go, but this is kind of like a prequel before our main character goes to this music school. And it's basically, it follows kids who go to the school, and the magic comes out of the music they play. And so this is the summer before she ends up going to that school. Very short. I think the audiobook's maybe an hour and a half. So I wanted to pick something that was going to be a little shorter, but I thought would be really cute and fun. So this is kind of a novella of sorts. And I'm not sure what we're going to get into with this story, but I enjoyed the first one a whole lot. So I'm very excited to continue with the other different books in this series. And this is the first one we're going to go with. Pick number 4. Read a book written by more than one author. The next one is to read a book with more than one author. So I'm going to use one of the books that I'm planning on reading for one of my kind of secret TBR vlogs of sorts, and that is the first volume of Descender. This is by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Jin, maybe? I don't know if both of those are one's the author, one's the artist, but graphic novels usually have more than one author technically. So this is what I'm using for this one. I don't remember what this is about, but it is like about a world with robots, and I feel like our main character has like this code in him that's like supposed to be evil, but he's not evil, and so like the world's after him. It's very sci-fi-y. I'm not 100% sure, but I love graphic novels. I haven't read a graphic novel in quite a while, so I'm excited to dive into this one and see if this series is for me. I've only got the first one, so if it is, we definitely have to pick up some more. But yeah, we're gonna go with this one and just see how it goes. Number 5. Ooh, read a book for a video. So the next one is for a video project that I'm doing, which is great. I love that like the TBR knew. The TBR basket is being nice to me right now. So I'm gonna pick another book that I'm planning on reading this month for one of my videos. And that's gonna be The No Show by Beth O'Leary. This is the most recent book by this author. I haven't read anything by this author, but this one sounded really interesting. It follows 3 separate women who are strangers, but they all have something in common, and that is a guy has stood them up on a date on Valentine's Day, and it turns out that they all been stood up by the same guy. I don't know, this feels very romancy, so I'm very interested to see what's going to happen with that. I love some good girl love, because I think the 3 of them become like friends and try to figure out what's going on. I have read some synopses across like different platforms that made it sound more mysterious than romancy, so I'm not sure what I'm getting into with this one, but it's got this beautiful fun cover, and there's just something about this story that really drew me in. And I've never read anything by this author, so I'm curious to see if I like her stuff. But this is her most recent one, and it just sounds really good, but I'm planning on reading it for one of my videos, so it fits perfectly right here. Number 6. Alrighty. Read a book ending in an odd number. The next one is to read a book ending in an odd number. So I'm going to pick up Secrets of a Summer Night by Lisa Kleypas. This is the first in the Wallflower series. It's the only one that I haven't read yet beyond the like Christmas novella. It's the first one, and I haven't read it. It's great fun, but it's got 375 pages in it. That's like where the epilogue ends. So I'm very excited about it. This is also a book that I'd love to get to this summer because it's got summer in the title. This one specifically follows Annabelle, and the series follows 4 women who are wallflowers. They decided that they're all going to get husbands, and so each book follows their respective romance. This one again follows Annabelle, who can have her pick of suitors. The only problem is she doesn't really have a dowry. So she's kind of trying to figure out how to get someone with no money to give them. So of course not many people are like wanting to be her husband, but there is a guy named Simon Hunt, who is very interested in her, but he's only interested in her to be his mistress, and she's like no. And so of course it's their romance. I've heard bits and pieces of this throughout the books in the series, but I haven't read their story yet, so I'm very excited to see how I feel. And historical romances are really good at getting me out of slumps and stuff, so I'm hoping that this turns out well. Number 7. Okay. Read a book about or featuring books. The next one is to read a book about or featuring books. So I couldn't think of a better book than Book Lovers by Emily Henry. This is the one that came out earlier this year, and the only one as of right now that I have not read by this author as far as like her adult romances. And I am planning on going to the beach again for a bachelorette weekend for one of my friends near the end of the month, so I feel like this is a perfect book to read for the beach. I just really like Emily Henry's writing style, and because I read Beach Read last month on the beach, I feel like this is perfect to read on the beach. So this book follows Nora and Charlie. I don't know what Nora does, but I think she is some sort of, she's involved in the publishing industry somewhere. And then Charlie is a brooding editor, and they both kind of know each other from back in the city, but they are on a trip, or Nora and her sister are on a trip in a very small town for the month of August, just kind of like a sister's trip to get away, and she and Nora and Charlie keep running into each other. And so it's a lot of meet cutes that don't actually work so well. So I don't know what we're getting into, but I've literally heard nothing but good things about this book. So I'm very excited to see Emily Henry's most recent book and why everyone loves it so much. Number 8. Oh, maybe? Oh, okay, here we go. Read a book you're scared to read. The next one is to read a book you're scared to read. So for this one, I'm going to go with my Tessa Dare buddy read, and that is A Lady of Persuasion. This is the third and final book in her kind of Dairy Maid, like Wanton Dairy Maid series, I think is what it's called. I did like the first book in the series, loved the second book in the series, and I'm very terrified of this book because this one follows one main character who I adore. I think she's fantastic, and then another main character who really gets on my nerves and I can't stand him. So we've got Sir Tobias Aldrich, who is someone that we've met over the course of the last couple of books, and then we've got Isabel Grayson, or Belle. And she is the sister of the main character from the second book. And so she and this guy, it's their relationship, and I think she's trying to turn him into a gentleman, and he's trying to get revenge on her brother. So it's the two of them in their romance, and I'm so scared because I think Belle is one of the sweetest characters. I loved reading her, even though she was just barely in the last book. I loved reading about her. And Toby's someone we've known from the first book, and I cannot stand him. So he better have a fantastic redemption arc, otherwise this book is not going to be good, in my opinion. So I'm terrified, but I'm hesitantly optimistic for good things to come out of this book. But we'll see. This is like I said, the final book in this trilogy, and this was the first trilogy by Tessa Dare. So we've read some of her very first works, and I'm curious to see how she's going to round out this trilogy, but I'm terrified. And number 9. Here we go. Read a contemporary. And the very last book is to read a contemporary. So I'm going to go with a book that's on my books to read before 20, like in this year. I don't know why I was going to phrase that weird. Books to read this year. And I'm going to go with One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. I have talked about this quite a lot. It came out summer last year. Everyone seems to love it. I have not read it yet. I have read this author's first book, Red, White, and Royal Blue, and that came out and really adored it. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with this one. Also, this feels very magical realism-esque, so I don't know what we're gonna get, but I'm curious and hesitant, and we'll see. But we follow our main character August, who lives in New York City and is very cynical when it comes to love. But she runs into someone on a platform named Jane, or sorry, not on the platform, but she's on a train with this woman named Jane. Kind of falls for her. Jane's got this very 70s grunge kind of hippie, maybe not grunge, but it's got a very 70s style. And throughout the book, we find out that Jane's actually stuck in the 70s and is from the 70s. So I don't know what that means, but I loved this author's previous romance. I think that they were very good at writing that, and I am very curious to see in a more maybe contemporary setting. I mean, the first one wasn't not contemporary, but it was very politically driven. So I'm curious to see this book that seems very, very different, how it's going to go, and then see after this, then hopefully I'll pick up their most recent book, which is a YA book. But this is definitely a contemporary romance, and I'm feeling the contemporary romance. It just feels like the stuff I want to gravitate towards right now. So this is the book I'm going with. And that's it for this TBR. I definitely still need to pick a nonfiction for the month. I've got a couple options, so we'll see what I'm feeling. I've also got one more buddy read with my friend Taylor. We've got the next book in the Wicked Villain series, which I believe is The Sea Witch. So I think we're getting close. It's not the last one in the series. I think there's still one, at least only one more after that, but I also need to pick up that one this month, and then a bunch of other books that I've got for those kind of secret TBRs. But as far as my TBR game, here is what we have. It was relatively nice to me, and actually I was able to pick things that I think I'm going to be able to maybe get out of the slump with, and maybe not stress myself out about being in a kind of slump. We'll see what happens. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this TBR. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned in today's video, or if there's a book that you are planning on picking up in July. Let me know kind of what you're planning on doing. And if you'd like to comment something but you're not sure what to comment the sun emoji. I'm feeling the sun, the summer, the warmth. It's hot outside, guys. It's so freaking hot outside, but sun. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you would like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all that out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!